Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Over the years, I've had lots of different coaches. I remember, my father was my first coach, but I remember playing junior hockey, had coaches there, had coaches in football, had coaches in track. You wouldn't think you have a coach in track, but you do have a coach. I threw the discus, threw the shot, I pole vaulted all the way up on through college, and I had coaches kind of guiding me on the finer points. Played football, had coaches there. You had position coaches. And we take that for granted. Tiger Woods, he's kind of on the back nine of his career, probably on the 17th hole of his career. But he's had a coach. He probably still has a coach helping with his swing. You can't see the water you're swimming in. He can't see how he's swinging. We're self-deceiving. It feels good to us. Somebody's looking at it and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, you're doing this or you're doing that incorrectly. And today I brought on somebody I've known for a few years now, Dwayne Plapp. I think I said that correctly. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And he's a referral coach. And just to kind of give him a little back, did some investigating about him. He was 20 years in the insurance industry, and then 18 years in retail. For 14 years, he was a referral marketing coach and trainer. And his goal has always been helping people create sales without selling. So I won't get into it too much. I know he has a number of books out there. We'll talk about all of it, but Dwayne, welcome to the program.
Well, glad to be here. Fantastic.
Yeah, if I can't get a good episode out of someone like you, I need to hang it up, right?
Well, I've been listening to quite a few of your podcasts, and you do a great job. And I've been following you for about, I guess, almost 10 or 12 years now, and I'm really impressed with your success and your networking groups. That's fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that. I remember you and I met. Let's give Robin Quallen credit for that, because she brought me down to talk to was once a BNI group, and then they left BNI. And I was impressed with you because you didn't know me, but right away, like, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. I'm in a room with 40 people, feel like I'm the sheep amongst wolves. And you really made me feel welcome, and it was great to kind of get to know one another. And you gave me a copy of one of your books, and I do appreciate that. I will always remember that. And so I'm glad we've had an opportunity to reconnect here. I guess give us the story. I've kind of given the 50,000 foot view, but give us the story of Dwayne Plapp and how you got to this place in time and became a referral coach.
Well, I guess I probably coached all my life indirectly. I grew up in the church, and I was actually on Sunday nights. I was the preacher on Sunday nights of my parents' church when I was a kid, and went through college and did a lot of, in a way, I guess, indirect coaching. Got in the business world, and any new salesman that came into my facilities, I'd probably spend some time working with them, helping them out, because to me, if you were a brand new sales guy, you needed to have somebody helping you. So I guess I've been mentoring people for my 55 years of sales. But I spent 20 years in the insurance business. We opened a retail store, and I did 20 years in the retail business. We owned a large retail store, and then I retired in 2008. And as most people retire, I was working like 90 hours a week, because when you're self-employed, you work a lot of hours. And so I'm home playing golf and fishing every day, and it gets kind of boring. And all of a sudden, one of my buddies calls me and says, "Hey, you're the Michael Jordan of sales. How about coaching my sales guys?" And I said, "Sure." So my whole thought was, it's always been know, like, and trust. I've always coached on it. I've always talked about, it's always about relationships. Selling's about relationships. And so I started doing that. And the next thing you know, one of my friends who owns a networking franchise asked me if would do his educational stuff. So I did that for about 2 or 3 years, and then after I did some of his educational stuff, I decided that I just soon coach my own people. So I started doing that. And my whole thought has always been it's always about relationships. If you want to have a sustainable business and you want it to be around 15 or 20 years, you don't want to be doing the same things you do when you start up. You want to have some relationships, because relationships allow you to sustain your business over a long period of time.
Yeah, no, that's so true. People who do the advertising, do the cold calling, the door to door, that sort of outreach, the tactical marketing sorts of things. I look at those as costs and not investment, but relationships and building relationships, those are investments. Well, I mean, you pointed it out. Jeff Scanlon, your friend, just to let people, your friend with BNI, you had a relationship with him.
For 40 years.
Yeah, you didn't go and call him or anything like that. He reached out to you, and that was an investment you made. And, we don't need to get into that whole story, or you're welcome to, but that came out of probably nowhere, seemingly nowhere. And you got the opportunity.
Well, he and I have been friends since the early 70s. I was president of the JCs, and he was actually on my administrative team when I was president of the JCs, which stands for the Junior Chamber of Commerce, back in the 70s. And when I retired, he kind of approached me. I had retired like in October. He approached me about the first part of the year, in the following year, and said, "Hey," he says, "I would love to have you do some educational stuff for us, because you're a master sales guy, and you know all about relationships and what it does." And he said, "If you'd be willing to do it, I'd love to have you do it." I said, "Okay, fine." I wasn't doing anything else anyway, so because I was retired supposedly.
Right.
And then once I stopped being retired, then my phone started ringing and go, "Hey, how would you like to train my sales guys?" And to me, it's, he made a comment about cold calling. Well, if you're cold calling, the rule is it's 7 to 10 or 12 touches before you actually make a sale. Well, guess what? And that 7 to 10 touches, what you end up doing is actually creating a relationship.
Yeah.
So you're no longer cold calling. You're actually talking to someone you're creating a relationship with. And after your 7 touches, they know who you are. You've gained some credibility. So guess what that happens to be? That's a relationship.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is this. I always tell people, there's 2 types of selling. You can sell directly, which is one-on-one, or you can let other people basically sell for you, which is what I call referral marketing. And the reason why is this: would I rather sell one person, or would I rather create one person I can get access to his 500 people that he knows? Well, guess what? If I can get access to your 500 people, it's a whole lot easier if I have you helping me than I was just trying to sell you. So when I'm coaching people, what I want them to do is not so much try to sell everybody that they know, but better yet, get everybody that you know to enlist to help you sell by referrals. It's amazing what that does. And if you will do it that way, it will expedite your sales to the point where in maybe 4 to 5 months, you're way ahead. Now, it may not make any sales the first week, but 4 or 5 months down the road, and that's what you want. Now, all of a sudden, you triple, quadruple. Next thing you know, you're rocking and rolling, and you got a bunch of sales coming in because you got everybody else helping you.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole notion of the direct selling is very linear, right? I mean, if you make 2x number of calls, then you'll probably expect 2x number of sales. But there's the whole question of sustainability, right?
Right.
Whereas
exactly what I tell my clients a lot of times is, do you want to be doing the same thing in 10 years as you're doing right now? If you're making cold calls and like what they call outbound type calls, what happens is that you don't create any relationships. So in 10 years, you're still doing the outbound calls. Would you like to take a vacation where you don't have to worry about your income? Well, guess what? In order to have that happen, you got to create those relationships where everybody else is helping you sell. So when you sell and you got 10 years on, you still got income coming in. You're not going to be doing the same thing over and over again. And if you notice, guys that sell products where they're doing outbound calls only, they can't ever take a vacation, because guess what? The minute they take the vacation, their income stops.
Yeah. Well, I think you're the perfect case study. You already said you retired, and that's when the phone rang. You didn't wake up one day and said, you know what, it's raining and I'm sick of golf. Somebody called and said, hey, we have a need and we know you can fill the need. And that was something you set in motion a long time ago. But with this whole notion of referral marketing, networking, building relationships, what you do, one, becomes very exponential, because you can create 2 relationships this month, 2 relationships next month, and at the end of the second month, you have 4 relationships working for you, and so it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
It goes exponentially. And give me an example. I use this all the time. When I had my insurance business, I sold it, and I was at 45, and I was gonna take a relax. I was gonna retire. Then I thought that was kind of a pipe dream. But anyway, my boys talked me into getting into the retail business. So we got into the boat business. Well, the first 100 boats I sold, about 70% of them were guys that I had insurance with before. And the reason why I asked them is, hey, why are you buying a boat? Well, I already know you. I know you took good care of us when you had your insurance business. I know you're going to take good care of us now. So guess what? Without those relationships, we probably wouldn't have been very successful in the boat business, because my relationships in the insurance business transformed over to the boat business. Big time.
Yeah, well, you had said it earlier, and it's no secret. Know, like, trust.
Well, and I use the know, like, and trust in a way. There's 3 things in the know, like, and trust. First thing is, if you're going to do what I call relationship selling or referral marketing, you got to get known. And so you got to get out there and you got to do some networking so you can get known. And, that's your advertisement in a way, because the more you get known, now all of a sudden people start to know who you create some credibility. Then the next section, is this. I'm going to start creating some relationships so they'll actually like me. Once they start to like me, then I can take that next step and create that relationship where they start to trust me. Once they start to trust me, then all of a sudden now I got people that are out selling for me. They're talking about me when I'm not around. And once I get that, then that's what they call word of mouth marketing at its best. I've got people out there helping me create my business, and I don't got to be the salesman doing it. They're selling it for me. Yeah. And it all comes down to what I call know, like, and trust. Get known, get liked, and create that trust.
All right. You work with a lot of people. What do you see as the biggest challenge, or maybe a few challenges that you see that just it's kind of a common theme that comes up over and over again?
2 things. One is people work in their business and not on their business.
Okay.
If you work in your business, you're never going to be successful, because guess what? And I'm going to use an example from Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a big time marketing guy he was in the gym business. And his comment is this: I can have the world's greatest product, but if I don't know anybody, I'm never going to sell anything. You got to get known. And so the first thing is you got to get out there and you got to get known. Well, if I'm sitting in my office, I had an attorney I was coaching in Washington, D.C. He tickled me. My first coaching session, I says, we got to get you out there networking. He looks at me, he goes, what in the world's networking? Because he was a big time attorney. He was doing mergers and acquisitions, and he sat in his office. I said, let me ask you a question. What do you do for breakfast? Oh, I cook it in the morning myself. I said, oh, okay. What do you do at lunch? I brown bag my lunch. I said, oh. I says, and at 5 o'clock when it's time to go home, would you just drive home? He goes, oh, yeah. I said, guess what? How many people do you meet? He says, I don't meet anybody. Why? I said, well, guess what? You just bought a franchise that now you got to start meeting some people.
Yeah.
He goes, oh my God, that's scary. I says, well, no, we got to get out and start getting known. We got to get involved with some networking. So I always tell people, what you want to do is have massive activity in your target market, not massive activity anywhere helter skelter, but be focused in your target market. And you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to get out of your office. You got to be working on your business, not in your business. Because if you're not working on your business, you don't know anybody and you're never going to sell anything. The next problem everybody has is this, is that they're not organized. There's no strategies involved. Okay. They don't know who they want to meet, when they want to meet them. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to create the relationship. There's no strategy involved. There's no organization. And so those two things are the biggest things. And so when I'm coaching people, I make them do those two things. They got to get out of your office. You got to get out. You got to work on your business, and you got to get organized. You got to have some plan of attack. If I'm going to meet somebody on a Thursday, I got to have some idea what I'm going to talk to them about. That's where your strategies come in. That's where getting organized and having a plan in place. If you haven't got a plan in place, nothing's going to happen. And that's all part of goal setting. You got to have goals. If you don't have goals, you got to have an organized plan of how I'm going to achieve those goals. We were very, very successful in our boat dealership. When I retired, we were one of the top 2 or 3 bass boat dealers in the United States. The reason why, we sat down and wrote goals, how to achieve our goals. And every single day we looked at our goals and where we were at. Our goal was to be 5 million the first 4 or 5 years. We were at 15 million. And the reason why was we watched our goals do it every single day. And that's the key. You got to be organized, and you got to get out of that. You got to get out of your comfort zone, get out of the office and go meet some people.
Now, when you say goals as far as networking and referrals, what are some examples of things that you might, this attorney you're talking about in DC, what are some things you might coach them up on or encourage them to set?
First 2 things when I'm coaching. One is we want to find out who you already know. So one of the first things I make everybody do is write down everybody they know, period. Kids they met with high school, kids they met in college, kids they went to church, people, any networking groups they've been involved with before. The best, easiest sales you can make and easiest referrals you can get are the people that you already know. So we create what I call your power base. Then we sit down and okay, we define your target market. So in my boat dealership, for instance, okay, we could sell pleasure boats, we could sell pontoon boats, we could sell skiffs, we could sell yachts. We decided to sell bass. Our target market was bass boats. So we did all of our marketing and all of our networking towards bass people. So the same token, maybe it's not just necessarily the guy that's fishing or the guy that's in the bass boat. It may be the guys who are selling to the bass boats. Maybe it's the guys, the vendors. Maybe the guys selling it. Those guys you want to connect with. They're the easiest ones to give you referrals. So you want to do massive activity in your target market. The next thing, is what am I going to say? The problem with most people is that they're always selling. So if I'm going to create a relationship with somebody, I don't want to be selling. That's why my program is called Sales Without Selling. Because if I'm going to create a relationship, I really don't want to be sold to. So when I'm giving a speech, one of the first things I always say, how many people came here today to be sold? And nobody raises their hand. So then why are you selling? Okay. Yeah. So the whole key is to create a relationship. So one of the easiest ways to create a relationship is to tell stories. So I'm a huge person on storytelling, because guess what? The minute you start telling stories, you stop selling. And 2 things happen when you tell a story. One is it resonates with me, and I'm applying it to my life. Well, that might have happened to me or whatever. Then the next thing is I got a story. So I told you a story. Now you're coming back with me a story. Guess what has happened? We just started the relationship. And once we start doing that relationship, we start taking it to the next level. We start doing things together. I do some investigations on you to find out what things you like, so I can actually create that relationship. I create a strategy. How am I going to get you involved? So maybe I go to a ball game with you. Maybe I go to a tennis match. Maybe we go to the movies. Maybe we go to a picnic. Maybe I go to networking events with you. Whatever that is, you create a strategy and how I'm going to create that relationship. Once that relationship gets to the trust part, now I'm creating a referral source. I'd love for you to give me some referrals. And I always tell people this. If I call you and say, hey, I'm growing my business and I need your help, what are you going to say? And you say, hey, get out of here. You're going to say, hey, how can I help you? If I've got a trusting relationship with you. Hello, here's how you can help me. Who do you know that does blank? Who do you know? Now all of a sudden I'm getting you to give me some referrals. The next thing I know, I've got you out there helping me sell. Yeah. Guess what? I'm getting now access to everybody that you know. And that's home run derby.
Yeah, this is great. I knew if I wound you up, this would just be an awesome interview. But I do ask people. I said, when was the last time that you bought something from somebody being sold? right? Somebody's just kind of pitching art. And most people will say, I never do. It's like, well, why are you doing it?
Exactly.
What makes you think that the universe, is going to work differently for you?
We're talking about networking groups, okay? I always tell people, if you're going to get up and do your 60 seconds, okay, you get up there and he said, I'm so and so and I own this company. Do I really care whether you own the company or not? No.
Right.
So guess what? It's irrelevant.
It's wasted air. You're wasting time.
Then you get up there, well, I do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, guess what? Do I care about that? No, because it goes in one ear and out the other. But on the other hand, if I give, hey, by the way, let me tell you this neat story about a guy I worked with. You're going, oh my God, I got that same problem. Or the guy down the road has that. I need to give him a referral.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, now that the end of your thing is the most important part of your 60 second is when you do a 60 second, why are you doing a 60 second? To get referrals. So the most important part of your 60 second is your ask. A great referral for me is blank. And anybody and everybody is not a good referral for you. Because I tell you what, I'm not really looking for any referrals in Alaska.
Right.
I'm looking for referrals in my target market. So the more you funnel it down to be very specific, the better chance you are of getting referrals. And the stories that you tell should be right around what you're looking for as a referral. Now all of a sudden I go, oh my God, say I'm a roofer. Okay, a great referral for me is a neighbor that you just had a storm. Their roof probably is a mess. We could use a referral there. Oh my God, you're right. It rained last night, and the guys, I saw his shingles on the ground. Fantastic referral. Guess what? I'm now getting a referral because I tickled your brain. The key to your ask is you got to tickle my brain. Anywhere, anyhow, anything is not going to tickle my brain. I'm in la la land.
Love it. Yeah. Well, let's shift gears here. Let's talk a little bit about your business. You will never retire. And I'm the same way. I tell people they're going to find me dead in my office at 102. He took a nap. He didn't wake up. Was he sick? No, he was 102 years old.
My wife says I'll probably be coaching somebody and I'll be in the middle of it and all of a sudden I'll be done.
Yep. There you go. Give them their feedback. Tell us about your program, how people can get a hold of you. I assume, in the Zoom age, you work remotely. But please.
I do about 90% of my coaching on I do some on live, but it's only because of the fact that a lot of people I'm coaching are outside of the area. The name of my program is called Sales Without Selling. My email address is Dwayne@totalrevenuecoaching.com, which is totalrevenuecoaching.com. My phone number is 859-240-6428. And my whole goal is to make you successful. If I can make you successful, it's a home run for me. That's the name of the game.
I hear you.
And my website's totalrevenuecoaching.com.
Okay. I will certainly get that in the show notes. The website, Dwayne is spelled D-U-A-N-E for our listeners. But those seeing this online will see the spelling of it. Hey, thank you for coming in. This has been a treat for me. It's been great reconnecting with you.
Oh, I love it. And like I said, it's a matter of you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to make it happen, and you got to get out there. If you don't get out there, you don't do the networking, you don't do the massive activity in your target market, you're not going to get referrals because nobody knows who you are. You got to get people to know who you are.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.